All right, we coming in. We coming in. Monday night, smoke. It's been a couple weeks, man. We've been on the road grinding. We've been a little bit of here and there. All right, but we back on.
Reed,
Right?
tell them the truth. You've been ducking me, man. You owe me. You owe me what? Two dinners and about no racks, a couple of pennies.
What I owe you dinner for?
I don't know. I'll make it up.
Hey, come on, man. Hey, listen. I think you're talking about the basketball debate that we always go back and forth on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we can get back on those. Those
We're
are
gonna get on
those are
that.
always
Hey,
fun. But
we're gonna stay
yeah,
off
we
of
can get
that
back on
right
them.
now. We're gonna stay off of that right now. So I think the first thing we got to touch on today, our boy Vince Morrow. Vince Morrow, legendary recruiter, legendary guy in the game at the University of Kentucky. Breaking news today: Vince Morrow, assistant head coach at Kentucky, goes to state rival University of Louisville in a general manager role. And I'm not going to put all his business out on the street, but I'm hearing he may have smoke reset the market again.
Come on.
What general managers are getting paid.
And you know what, Reed, just do. And just showing everyone the importance of a general manager in college, especially college football. Reed, I've always said it, and I've said it for years now. The most important hire for a head coach before he gets into that building is your general manager. Because your general manager will put together a team of, we just saw what Oklahoma just did, a senior general manager, a senior assistant general manager, on down the list of putting personnel in the forefront. We used to once think of just personnel as recruiting, put together, coordinate the coaches' travel, put together the recruiting list, and put together an OV or unofficial visits to make sure that you have the grid set up for communication. Well, them days, that's just one part of it, not the most important part of it. And just what happened this weekend is just telling us, because that settlement case that's closed up is telling us exactly how important. And maybe Coach Morrow just knew what it was and said, you know what? I'm going to put down this whistle for a while, because I believe that the real business is in personnel.
I think the general manager, and we've talked about this now, you and I have been having this conversation, I want to say going on 2 years. The general manager is as important, possibly not even more important than the coordinators.
Agreed. And if coordinators getting 2.4, why not?
The general manager should be, in my opinion, should be making more than the OC and the DC. He's got to manage the roster, player acquisition, NIL deals, now revenue sharing, right?
Right.
Player retention.
There you go. That's what I was about to say. But Reed, when you look at it, we broke it down before, and I've always said it. When we first started the general manager model, most coaches looked at it for three senses and the three reasons of getting one. And they always put guys in a box. You had the recruiter, the one that get on the horn and connect with the Carl Reeds of the world that was moving and grooving. And if you had to go through St. Louis, they had to come through you. That's one facet of a person. Then the other one was the evaluator, a scout that they got either from the NFL or whatever league to come evaluate, write reports, put together a plan in terms of structure of board, of stacking who you want, when they want to come in, and so on. That was just a two phases of it. And there's some people that are only strong in those two phases. Then it came to now of salary cap. Who's going to manage the books? Who's going to make sure that we're getting the right bang for our dollar? So now that's three phases that a general manager has to play. And you have some unicorns, I would think I'm a unicorn myself, and some other guys that can do all of those things. Not great, but good enough to not have to go out and get a cap manager, not be able to organize a list of players or put them in the right place in terms of value. Also set a board and make sure that your coaches are going to the right school and they have their eyes on the right players to fit what we want to do, scheme-wise, development-wise, and financially in your building.
A lot of guys, so a lot of guys from the NFL that are scouts, that are from front office guys, they see the money that the college guys are making and they want to come to college. And they know how to stack boards.
Maybe.
Okay.
Don't give
They
them
know
that
how
much
to
credit.
scout. They've been on the road. They've been scouting, right?
Let me hit a pause on that, Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's not every scout that's been on the road that can stack a draft board or put together a draft board. That was mainly done by your DPP or assistant general manager. And every scout, no, I'm not going to say it can do that. There's some that might be able to, but majority of the time, a scout is just digging for information, evaluating the talent in their area, and giving that list in.
So I think the part, though, that has to be spoken about when you're talking about players and stacking boards and evals from an NFL model, because you see colleges trying to go to the NFL model, but the player acquisition is not the same. In the NFL, you're picking your players through the draft, right? But in college, after you stack the board, you actually have to go get the players.
You gotta go get them, Reed.
So it's not the same way of acquiring talent. Do you need still guys in the front office from a college standpoint that have to be able to build relationships, go into cities, go into high schools and deal with people? Or because it can't just be about stacking a draft board like a pro.
Absolutely. And I think that's where a college general manager is so unique, because you still have to have people skills. You're still going to have to be able to recruit 1, 2, 3, maybe how many that you can actually recruit personally to close those deals. Because again, a general manager, if you talk about a baseball pitcher, you got to be able to start the game, be a day one starter, mid of relief, but also close it out like Mariano Rivera. And those are the ones that I think are the unicorns, but also have the ability to evaluate the talent. And now with the rev sharing and it's basically a salary cap coming into place, being able to stack that talent and put the right valuation on their name.
How does the house settlement and the revenue sharing change the game outside of the obvious?
Well, it's going to correct the market, Reed. And what I mean by correcting the market, the first market that we have to talk about is a high school and freshman market.
Mm-hmm.
Because just to give you an example, say you're the number one offensive tackle in the country, and you just committed to whatever state school. And going forward, you're saying I'm a $2 million guy. This is the number on it. Mm-hmm. But that high school player is not ready day one to be your starter. And it might take him a year or maybe 2 years to get on the field to start and to be a productive player. Well, that's 2 years of $2 million. Easy math for me and you, that's $4 million.
I can't give $4 million to a guy that's not ready to play.
So the way that you look at a high school player now, and if you're going to give him that amount of coin or salary or contract, you have to treat him almost like an NFL first-round draft pick. Where that player coming out, and if you're paying him that much money, it's a day one starter, impact player. Or you're going to have to come up off of paying that player that much. Because you're going to have to justify the piece of the pie that that player takes out of your cap. Because if we're saying it's $20 million the AD gets, and they're allocating between 70 and 80% to say football, because that's what we're talking about now, you're going to have between $14 and $16 million in order to operate. And that's at some school. Mm-hmm. So if you're giving 2 to one player, and it's not a quarterback that's a game-changing player, you are going to be cash poor because you have to get another 15 offensive linemen to be able to go through a season with backup to practice and to develop down the line. So this is where the evaluation comes in and understanding exactly what you need for your team. So if we start off with that same offensive lineman, you might say, you know what, coach, I need this $2 million guy. I'm going to say, if that's what you need, he better be there first day starter. And I'm not worrying about him. I'm not chipping. I'm not doing anything over there in terms of help with him because he's going to be able to handle whatever defensive end, outside linebacker.
You got to be
by
sure
himself.
for the
We ain't
moment he
sliding
walks
no
in.
protection over there to him, Reed.
Yeah,
We're not
you
chipping over there to him. He's that guy. He's day one. He's franchise player.
Smoke, he got to play Abdul Carter.
There you go. Day one.
They want he got to play Abdul Carter. Is there?
It's no getting this guy ready because now your general manager is under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Pressure's on you. If it's an offensive line coach, the pressure's on you because we can't pay that player this much money and not get the production out of him. But where I come in, I'm gonna say, hey, listen, I got one for $200,000. That's just as good, but might not be ready until maybe game 7, 8, or maybe next year.
Whoa.
Just hear me out, Reed.
Whoa.
Just hear me out. Just hear me out. Go ahead.
I want to say this for the people though, because when you're talking about 5-star number one guy in the country,
yeah,
we're talking number one,
yeah,
number one guy. But you're saying that you got another guy. That guy wants $2 million.
Yeah,
right, the number one guy.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying you got another guy
mm-hmm.
that's just as good
mm-hmm.
for $200,000. Why isn't that guy a 5-star then?
Because I'm not the one that's putting the rating on them. And that's not my job. Mm-hmm. Your importance is to me. Mm-hmm. I'm not tracking what somebody else's evaluation is of you. I'm only concerned with my evaluation of the player that I am rating in my building and putting a price value on that particular player. So you might say he is elite for you, and I might just say he's good for me. But my good, I can get to elite because I know that my coach can get him up to speed, and I trust my evaluation that in a year, and I'm okay if you pay that much to the player that's going to sit for a year. I'd rather play 2 instead of 2 million, 200 instead of 2 million.
Absolutely.
To get that production down the line. So I'm balancing out my books properly because I know I need some more. That makes sense? So that's where the evaluation in the evaluation in the stacking and the understanding of player value, developmental growth, developmental upside, and production when that player gets on field.
Do you still as a coach, do you still utilize your collective to fill in the gaps?
Well, Reed, this is where this whole thing comes into play. Mm-hmm. With this new agreement, they want to take they're getting rid of collective and boosters. They're pushing away that.
I said on Twitter about a year ago when this started that they were going to get rid of the collective. Yeah. And I got attacked.
But it's okay.
Everyone
gets attacked that you don't know. Listen, Reed, the smart ones get attacked.
They attack me. I didn't block.
Get attacked,
but I didn't block nobody. I'm coming back for those people, by the way. I still got all of them.
Reed, you're always on the get back.
You know, I got all their tweets saved.
Don't be Petty LaBelle.
I'm coming back.
Don't be Petty LaBelle.
I'm coming back for him.
Don't be Petty Tendergrass. Don't be that guy.
I told him we were going to be here. I'm coming back.
Just stay with me now, Reed. So
I'm with you.
Now, when you look at the collective side of it, and they're trying to make sure that everyone's operating, can't be operating the same numbers because again, there are different ADs that's going to allocate different percentages to different sports. But if you call Reed, want to go to say St. Louis, Missouri University A&M, and there's a booster that signs you to a deal, that deal most likely is going to get rejected because he's a booster. But not only is that deal going to get rejected, if you do sign that deal and you agree upon that deal, I can't stop you. But now that money, if it's $1 million that you're getting from that deal, would now count against your cap.
The cap.
Right? If you go out there and you sign and your collective, which you're trying to get rid of, signs you to that same deal, you can agree to it. But again, that's going to count against your cap. So they're trying to make sure that everyone's operating in the same world. And we all know, Reed, when you have rules, there's some rule benders.
There's going to be some rule benders, rule breakers.
There you go. And they'll find ways around it. But as of right now, and they still have an opportunity to appeal the decision, it is what it is. But you know what really touched me? Reading all through all this, that you have a collective, basically, you have a cap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of whatever percentage that it is. But you don't have a collective bargaining agreement from the ones that count, which are the players.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you creating a cap and the players aren't agreeing to a CBA?
Because the players haven't unionized yet. And they're not, they still are trying to classify the players as amateurs. And
But
so
it looks like if you're getting paid by a university, you're an employee. But most of the time when you're an employee, Reed, you have a union. You have a union rep that sits at the floor and decides on if we're with or not against this. There's no representation for the players. Now, they said there might have been former players that sat down and heard it, but again, former players and active players are two different things.
I don't want if I'm a player, I don't want the former players deciding what I need, because all former players are haters. Right? all old
Reed,
guys,
I'm a former player and I hate. I'm happy for these young.
Listen, all old guys hate young kids.
No, not
yes,
smoke.
Reed, you one of the few. Old guys are always bothered.
So I'm gonna tell you what you do to get rid of that hate in your heart, Reed.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go see the doctor, get a blood transfusion, and get all of that hate and blood up out you. Only way.
You know, we talk all the time. Every time you go, they say the kids aren't tough. The kids aren't resilient. They don't want to compete. Now, you and I both know this. When we were playing, you couldn't transfer. Well, no. You could.
It's too much. It was a headache.
But you had to sit out.
Yep. Headache.
You also had to get permission on where you could go.
Headache.
There was no you couldn't transfer within conference.
Headache.
You can only play right away if you went down.
It's just a big migraine that none of us wanted to put up with.
And there was no money.
Yeah.
There was no money. So now you and I both.
I ain't saying there was no money. There was some money, but not money like this.
You know, not like that.
Yeah.
You know. But you know and I know that if we could have transferred, and if guys could have got paid, they would have been transferring in.
Absolutely.
But we didn't do it because we couldn't do it.
Right.
And it was different because you had to call your old man back.
Man, I ain't going through all that.
You had to call home. I ain't calling Pop.
Well, Reed, you know what? It wasn't like we didn't have to call our old man. You could have still done the same thing that these young cats are doing, but they're way more educated to go down to compliance office, don't say nothing to nobody, sign all the paperwork and say, all right, I'm in. When your father calls, like, hey, man, listen, I make something up. You're going to see me in about 6 months anyway. And by the time you see me, work's done. But Reed, getting back to just what this settlement's doing to when we say small market and big market teams, and we touched on this a couple of months ago, and you and I have always gone back and forth on small market and big market teams. Now, what this is also created, what the settlement is also created, is a true NIL, name, image, and likeness marketing contracts. So if I'm at a school, say Georgia Tech, and I'm in Atlanta, there's corporations that are more attractive that I can work those deals out with. SC, same thing. Right? Talk about the University of Maryland that sits between the District of Columbia, right there by Northern Virginia. It's a gold mine. But you're going to have other schools that are in little towns that are going to have to start fighting to be able to get those big-time athletes, to get those marketing deals.
Yeah.
Right? So those are some of the things that, you know, the head coaches that's doing the hiring, that's going through the hiring process, they're going to have to figure this out.
How many guys are really marketable, though? Like, how many guys are really marketable? When you're talking about dollar for dollar, like who are we seeing on commercials? Who are we seeing on ads? How many guys are really working to a businessman to where he can invest in you and reap something from his investment?
Reed, I'm going to say, just because of the current landscape that we're in and the use of social media, if you get the proper person in your building, these young cats, they're going to find ways. And like you just said, the old model of us thinking that, oh, no, just because there are only 5 guys that are no, there's other ways of also selling yourself, being marketable, right? You don't have to go into a studio anymore to do a commercial.
Yeah, you just need your iPhone.
There you go. You don't have to do a ton to have 1 million people see you talk about Frito-Lays if you have 1 million followers. Like these young cats have started something brand new, Reed, that we only dreamed of being able to touch.
And I'm gonna tell you, like, they don't understand from their standpoint. We couldn't even have jobs when we played. Like, you couldn't do anything. And
Right.
now just the fact that you can be on YouTube, you can be on TikTok, you can be on IG. Content creation is driving the world. Look at what Kai Cenat just did with his Streamers University. These guys can create content and get hundreds of thousands to millions of followers, and they can generate revenue from their following and from their brand. That's something that we couldn't do. So
Reed,
it's
you giving
not,
away some game, man. I hope you charge it.
yeah, it's not just the fact that they can get money from the school. Well, the school paid me. That's cool. And I got a little deal at the restaurant down the street or whatever. The fact that you have this whole social media world. Look at guys who've changed their life in streaming. Duke Dennis, Kai Cenat. You got guys like Big Ja, Country Wayne. Like the things that those guys are doing, driving content creation. If you're a collegiate athlete, you have a whole world of things that you can do to make yourself money and be able to make yourself super duper marketable. Man, you can get brand deals from your TikTok channel. And guess what? Nobody has more inside information than the players.
There you go.
No, nobody has no more access to the players than the players.
So Reed, you like we said, you just have to be able to create a specific field for yourself.
Yes.
And if you're a general manager and you're in charge of the personnel department, now it's on you to be creative outside of the model of saying, I'm going to evaluate players and make sure I stack them. Well, there's more to it. There's multiple layers to what you're doing now. How can you offset that salary cap number? Create more opportunities outside of being on the football field.
But you got to change the way you think. And most old guys don't think. We think that this guy doesn't love football. This guy doesn't. And that's still one of the dumbest questions that I hear people ask. Guy, anytime a college coach used to come into my school and say, does the guy love to play football? I knew that he didn't know what he was doing. Right?
Reed, I got into in that sidebar. I got into a heated conversation the other day with, not even going to say his name, but he questioned Andrew Luck's desire for the game. I went on about, you know me, about a 20-minute conversation with him about just understanding what Andrew Luck had to do to get to Sunday and perform. Like, I remember when I scouted and I advanced the Indianapolis Colts, Andrew Luck didn't even throw warm-up. He didn't throw majority of the week. P.J. Walker usually got cut on a Saturday, got cut on the Saturday, got re-signed on the Sunday to go throw warm-ups only. So Andrew didn't have to go through pat and go. And pat and go is just a quarterback throwing routes on air. Just so he didn't have to do but 20-something throws. Early on in the season, they babysat him on throws just so he can get through because he was in such pain. And for somebody to do that for years of getting beaten up, you never seen Andrew Luck flinch in the pocket. They had to tell him, stop taking on linebackers to get a first down, man. Relax. Mm-hmm. So when a player like that retires, they just say, no mas, and I can't do it anymore because my body's failing me. When somebody outside of the football world question that toughness or question drive and love for the game, yeah, I question you as a person to truly understand like what that person has to do just to get out of bed, to get to Monday, to push his body to Sunday to take another beating to get ready for the next week.
And man, the crazy part when people say that, how many people are working jobs and they go to them every day and they don't love to do it? Football is a job, and this is a hard ass job. Like football is hard. It is hard to play. It's hard to coach. It's just a tough game.
Reed, forget playing, because we only play for a few minutes. Actual playing time, few minutes. The preparation, the off-season workout, right? This is a winter workout.
Yeah.
Mat drills. And we ain't gotten to a game yet. Right? Then you go to spring ball. Then after spring ball, you have fall camp. And regardless if you and I went through 3 days or 2 days, you're still strapping on 15 to 20 pounds of weight in terms of equipment. And going out there, and some days 100, triple digits, let's say triple digits with humidity, losing 10, 15 pounds to go back out there, full body lockup. And again, you aren't promised that you're going to play. You're just trying to get an opportunity to go out there and perform. And the ones that do, they get the reward of playing on a Saturday or an NFL Sunday, in high school Friday nights.
And that's back when we played 2 a days, 3 a days for some, right?
Oh, yeah.
You talking, 16 110s, 300-yard shuttles, and there were no heat warnings back then.
Man, they used to turn that thing off.
Yeah, it's just a different game. So you got to understand what guys are putting themselves through to play the game, really at any level. Like now, nobody has 2 a days anymore. Like they went away from that.
But even to spin it back on like the impact of this House ruling, NIL, and pay for play from the institution to players, and now it goes to the highest level of the NFL. Mm-hmm. Sitting down past few weeks, we had some time off, the scouts, and I'm asking them, like, tell me about the new draft process and the interviewing process. What are some of the things that are coming up that, the college game's creating? And they're like, guys dream of playing in the NFL, like, it's going down. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, these guys don't love the game. And I'm like, hold on, Smoke, pause for a second. Think about it. They're already getting an NFL salary, some players. So if I'm sitting like a fat cat and I'm at a college, Reed, and say I'm making, let's make it easy number, say $1 million. Mm-hmm. $1 million in one of those small market cities. My housing is paid for. My food is paid for. I got a car deal, right? I'm on campus. Hey, tell me what my expenses are in comparison to making $1 million playing in the NFL.
What if you got a great financial advisor and he puts your money in the right markets? Roth IRAs, the right stock accounts, the right, high
purchase some real estate.
Mutual funds, real estate, high yield savings. Like if you handle your money right in this day and age, you can be so set by the time you get out of college that the desire to play for the NFL may not be there for everybody in the same way, because you actually, for some of these players, are reaching your financial freedom by going to college.
Or reaching my goal of getting paid to play.
Yes. That's happening for you now at the college level.
Right. So like all the tough guys was, oh my God, they just don't love it. They don't love it. I'm like, guys, they're getting more money.
Imagine
in college than they will be playing for you guys with less stress.
If you bought a rental property every semester that you were in college for 4 years with your NIL money.
Duplex.
You buy one every semester. Like you leave with 30 to 50 doors of real estate by the time you leave college, if you hook up with the right people and are getting and receiving the right information. So now you've set yourself up in every way. And that's what I tell guys all the time. When you getting this money, this is not for a car show.
Or your attire or designer.
It's not for that.
Or jewelry.
This is an opportunity, man, for you to really, really, really take yourself to a completely different level of lifestyle and how you living. And guys don't realize you don't have to make it to the NFL to buy your mama a house no more.
And Reed, even if you do make it to the NFL and play 3, 4, you're still gonna have to come back and work.
Yes. Yes.
Like so that whole level of thinking that some guys still have is like, well, the desire is gone. No, it's not gone. They just attained their goal earlier. And if they want to push on, cool. There's guys that played through 2 contracts, right, in the NFL. And you come back and say, hey, man, you want another shot at it? Like, no. I got a story for you. So I what year was this? 2015. Was it 16? It was 15 or 16. I might get those. We drafted Reggie Ragland in the 2nd round, former Alabama star. Very good linebacker, having a great camp. Tears his ACL. Right. It happens, oh man, hurt for my guy. But now we got to find a replacement. And if you're a pro scout, you have a ready list. You have your veterans, and we needed a starter. A ready list of veterans that aren't in a camp right now, but they're the ones that you want to sign in July.
Yes.
Because they can come in shape, execute your defense, and be perfectly fine. On that list was D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico is one of my former teammates. We have a good relationship. Jim Monis, at that time, my boss said, hey, man, get on the phone, start working the phone, and line these guys up. First person I called. Bop, 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 boom. Miko, what's happening? Miko said, Smoke, what's going on, dog? I said, man, give him the whole story. Reggie went down, and we're looking for, before I can get to before, Miko said, hey, listen, Smoke, I don't even want to talk numbers. I'm on the boat, wife, and kids. I don't want to play anymore. I didn't want. I'm not gonna question me. Go like, oh my God, you don't want to get no more money. Your desire is gone. No, like, dude, I'm good. I've played. I'm okay with where I'm at. And sometimes you got to live with a person telling you that where they're at is comfortable for them. Right. Where your expectation is for them, it ain't that.
You shouldn't put expectations on other people. And the thing is, too, I want to say shout out to Reggie Ragland. Reggie Ragland played basketball for a guy named Mark Comera with Southeast Elite AAU. I watched Reggie Ragland when he was 12 years old dunk a basketball in the game.
You know what, Reed? I'm glad you confirmed that.
Yeah.
Reggie and I talked. Okay, so Reggie's now linebacker coach, West Alabama, down there with Scott Cochran.
Yes.
He's now gotten the coaching. Phenomenal dude. Rag and I talk at least once a week. So now that you're confirmed, because he always tell me, Smoke, I'm a better basketball player.
He could hoop.
Football thing. I didn't believe it.
Reggie Ragland at 12 years old, I watched him dunk in the AAU.
Come on, daggone. Now I got to apologize to my
Also, I've seen him hit a home run 360 feet.
Heard about that too.
Reggie, one of the best athletes that I've ever seen in his ability to do it all. He was a dog.
I want to say Rag played at James Clement High School out in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yes. He played. I think that's where he played.
Yeah.
Yes.
My man Pop.
Big time. I'm talking about big time guy. So we talking about what Ragland did as a kid. Let's transition to this. Mega camps going on. And you got all kind of guys who have different opinions on whether or not kids should camp. And you know, I'm a huge proponent of guys going to camp and being evaluated. So you get the parents who call. I've talked to a few parents today who say, Coach, you know, the coaches didn't talk to me enough, or, you know, I don't feel like it was fair, or this. Smoke. We've been on both sides of it, high school side, college, whatever. Would you tell these people, I'm going to let you start, and I'm going to go, how important is it to go to camp?
Reed, I'm a camp fanatic. I am 1,000, and I can't go any higher in percentage of camping, competing. And now that we just finished talking about money, pay for play, You got to stamp some of these guys now. It's not a, I think, oh, coach, he looked like he is. You have to know. Because if you're signing a player for whatever amount of money, I want to know that A, he's willing to compete. He's actually fast. I told you, Reed, I don't sign athletes, skilled players, if I don't have a 40 time on them. Mm-hmm. If you're an offensive lineman, I got to know hand size, wingspan, arm length. That means I got to get that in the camp. Now, you going out there and competing, like losing a rep is probably what I want to see. Everybody's like, oh, he never lost a rep. I can care less about you winning every rep because winners sometimes don't, that ain't breeding the best characteristic in you. I want to see what happened when you take that L. What's that competitive nature when you come back to defeat it? I want to understand how well do you learn? Because I can find that out in the camp setting. Are you coachable? Because most of the time we're not going to have our hands on you. Now, a good coach is going to go to a practice and see that. You're going to have good conversations. But if you don't, the best place is at a camp. And my question was always to anyone that said they didn't want to perform in the camp, what's your reasoning? What are you afraid of? Losing a rep does not mean that I'm not going to offer you a scholarship. You losing a rep and coming back and competing, and now I see that desire of your willingness not to lose, yeah, that now puts you at a different level.
But you might go to camp and lose a rep and the school not take you. You might. But you need to know that. You gotta know, because it's good for you and the coach. If you trick the coach into taking you, when he gets you, we're gonna be right back without a school for you to go to.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out either way.
They're gonna find out. So all you're doing is prolonging the process, and now you're gone. Right. You gotta go out there and you gotta see people. Like all the college coaches I met them by taking my kids to camp because we weren't scared to compete. And you found out through that process, some kids ended up being major Division I recruits. Some of them ended up being D2 guys.
Right.
Some of them ended up being FCS guys, but you had to go compete.
Yeah.
And if you weren't willing to compete, this is always my question to guys. If you're not going to take them to the camp, and if you're unwilling to compete in camp, how do you get seen? They're going to say, look at the tape, right? But the tape is only part of the eval. I can like you from the tape, but I don't know if you're really 6'5", right? I don't know if you're really 245. I don't know if you're really fast. I don't know who you're playing against, right?
Reed, look at it this way. Like I always used to say, I want to feel that person's speed. And when you're standing there field level, and you see a player burst, you can feel the power. You can feel the speed. If they're running fast enough, you can feel that wind. Mm-hmm. If you're seeing an offensive lineman go through the bags and they're doing the 4-point punch, that means down on all four, punching coming through, accelerating their hips, so you can feel that power. If my assistant or offensive line coach is holding that bag, he's going to feel that power.
Yeah, I want to feel you hit me.
Right? I want to see your ability. We used to have called the bend test. Your flexibility to make sure that you can play with proper pad level. I want to see when you have some type of weight, your core and your structure of being able to be balanced, right, with weight on you. And if there's an opportunity there where we've had an ability to have some type of competitive drill where you're going against another player, defensive lineman versus offensive lineman, I want to see what you look like physically when you're engaged and off balance. Because a lot of people put onus on how great your feet look as an offensive lineman. Right? How well they move. Yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit of game tonight. Y'all can take it and run with it. I want to see what you look like when you are in combat with another person pushing you and almost tussling you to the ground to see how your center of gravity and how your balance and body control truly is. Because at the end of the day, Reed, you're an O lineman. 98% of the time, when you're on the football field, you're in physical combat and you're off balance, and you shouldn't be on the ground.
And you got guys, when you're doing kick slide drills and when you're doing pass pro stuff, it looks great on air when you say, well, my footwork is great. But what about when a big time edge rushes speed to power?
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I gotta see.
Or you see that speed, or you see that edge rusher nose down, butt up in the air, coming out in that track stance.
Yeah.
How quickly can you run that player up the field?
Can you?
It look good on air when everybody's sliding, and punching. Look great.
And when you run him up the field and he sinks to go to his power, can you anchor? Can you anchor down? Right? And I gotta be able to see you do that in person before I commit to you. And if I can't see you do that in person, then I can't take you. Right? It's just something I can't do.
I have to have a full, complete eval, tape, character, in-person eval, and I want to get that camp on you. So just come see me. It's okay. I'm gonna say come see me. And really, if you're truly doing your evaluation, saying player, yeah, I want to see what kind of technique is that offensive line coach teaching. Right? Is he an independent hand offensive line coach, meaning that you're operating with just one hand, or is he a double punch type of guy? You got to know that. How do you fit in? Go ahead.
We got a comment from Steve Keim. Steve Keim, former general manager of the Arizona Cardinals, watching the show, general manager at Clutch Sports Group. He says in his comment, it all starts with speed to power. If you lighten the ass, if you're lighting the ass, your toolbox isn't vast enough. We got to see if you got a toolbox when you come.
No doubt. I used to yell out all the time. He has no anchorage.
Yes. Did you see Michael Irvin correcting the receivers on their hand usage at the University of Miami camp?
I didn't see my guy Michael Irvin going off, but I know that Kevin Beard, the receiver coach at the U, to me, one of the top flight receiver coaches in college football right now.
Yes.
But I listen, when Irvin played, Irvin was a hand-to-hand combat.
Hand-to-hand combat. And what he was telling guys is you have to use your hands to get off the press. You can't just use your hands to catch the ball, right? But those are things you're getting taught in how to compete at camp. You know
what the crazy things that I've seen in the last few years evaluating receivers, they all send me this daggone tape of them doing every single release on God's green earth. And it looked good. It looked like a dance video. They run, stop, shake. Okay. Now what Irvin's saying to you right now, hey, bro, you have to create separation in 2 yards. That 6'3" long arm corner ain't letting you sit back there and dance. On top of that, that edge rusher that's lined up that's going to kill your quarterback, you need to get somewhere. And you're going to have to put these paws on that guy, pick him up, or get rid of him in order to get to that spot so you can catch the ball.
This is something else that I look at too. Smoke, football players play football, right?
All day long.
So I'm alarmed at guys that try to get scholarships doing anything but playing football. If you're a football player, and if you're a guy that feels like I'm being slept on, I'm being overlooked, I'm not being treated fairly in the process, you should be willing to drop everything you're doing and go anywhere and compete at football.
Go to your local university or college camp. And I promise you, if you can run, and whoever you are, if you run a 4.4 and you're a skilled player, everyone there is going to take that card, look at it, and say, okay, go run another one. And if you run that again, they're going to take you and put you in another group. If you're a receiver, they're going to say, okay, go over to the A group or whatever color group that they have. Go compete. And if you put that on, someone's going to walk over to you at some point and say, hey, listen, where are you from? If they don't have that information on you yet, they're going to find the person that recruits your area. Someone out the personnel department is going to find you, and your recruiting process just started. And if you don't have film, they're going to say, a good ones will say, I'm going to wait until you get 2 games or 4 games, and then we'll come by in the fall and see you again. But the recruiting process for you, yeah, it's on.
Yeah, and Steve Keim just brought up another good quote. In this game, you got to move a man from point A to point B against his
Absolutely.
will. Can you move a guy from point A to point B against his will? And I don't know that for sure
unless I see it.
Unless I see it, right? Because then too, when it's hot outside at camp, you can see if a guy's willing to compete. You can look in his eyes. You know how guys get that look in their eyes. You know
exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone's gonna find a reason. Oh, a cramp. Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on. I think my contact is kind of out. My shoes untied. Like you'll find guys that are willing to find excuses not to show up, or Big Bubba that's been knocking everybody back. That's a defensive lineman.
Yes.
That big time offensive lineman might start looking over like this and counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Bubba's 4.
I need to see
get back to 5.
Because when Will Anderson coming off that edge, it's not a lot of people who want to go up there and take no reps, right?
But I also want to see the person that's jumping up there and say, hey, let me get some. Or if he got you last time or got you on that rep, you say, run it back.
Yeah.
Right. But those are conversations that when we go back upstairs to have the evaluation conversation around the staff table, we're going to say, this guy, coach, he competed his tail off. And no doubt, I believe that once we get him here, I can do the rest.
If you want to get paid, if you want to get a scholarship, if you want to be a guy that's in the mix, go compete and go prove that you can play football. Go prove it. And then you got to dominate. We got guys that when you send me tape, I'm going to tell you, we got kids who watch the show. We got some high school coaches on here. When you send me the tape, right, I'm expecting to see dominant football.
Rick, on the strength of it, you don't even want to see a circle. I don't want to see a square. I don't want to see an arrow.
No, I don't want
to. I should be able to say, yeah,
he's the guy.
Yeah,
high school football players that go Power 4, they should be able to. I expect them to dominate a game on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Ooh, I like what you just said. You said two-way players.
Yeah, they should be able to dominate a game on both sides of the ball. If they can't be dominant on both sides of the ball, I mean, then what are we talking about? You gonna play in the SEC or the Big Ten?
Big Ten?
You gonna play in the Big Ten? Aiden Hutchinson and Mason Graham coming off the line. You out there? I just watched you play a high school game, and it's a 5'10", 220-pound guy that's giving you a lot of trouble. Right? He got you in a hell of a situation.
He got you in the blender.
You telling me that you slept on, right? And I'm just watching the tape. Right. But guys get upset, they get offended, they think that they're being slept on, or that you're doing them wrong, or that you're not. You know, they being this.
You offended me, Reed, by me wasting time watching you hyping yourself up, and I could have been watching somebody else that needed a good set of eyes on. You could have kept all that to yourself by telling me the truth.
If you send your film to me, it better be legit. Or you know what I mean? Like I'm telling you, I'm expecting to see it. Because this is the thing. You telling me that you want to play in the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, but when you playing in a 3A or 4A game in high school, you don't look comfortable.
Right.
Like it's guys in those games making you uncomfortable. So why do you want to even play at that level? You having trouble at this level.
Right.
And so we gotta be honest with ourselves. You go to a high school baseball game, it's a pitcher throwing 86, and you don't like the way it make you feel, your back shaking, right? Well, how you gonna play in the show?
Right.
You can't and that's the thing that guys don't. And anytime a guy doesn't compete, anytime when a guy doesn't run his 40, Smoke, what is he telling you?
Oh, you can't run. Fast people run every day of the week.
I mean, so that's the thing. And so when guys don't get that, to me, it doesn't make sense. And parents have to understand this. Coaches want to win. It's too much pressure.
Reed, do you know what really gets me? That a prospect can travel 8 hours away, show up to a camp, look professional in their eyes, and say, hey, you know what? I ain't running today. You're 15 years old. You should be running all day. All I'm asking is to run 40 yards. Mm-hmm. But you know what they'll do? They'll do every other drill. They'll do one-on-ones. They'll do routes on air, speaking of receivers. And I'm like, but you don't want to run a 40? Well, I ain't been training for it. You ain't training for no 40 at 15 years old, bro. Go run.
Well, you knew, even if you didn't, it's on you. You knew you were coming to camp.
Reed, listen, I ain't going to lie to you. I am not expecting a 15, 16-year-old to be polished on running a 40 in high school. Right. If you run a 4.4 in high school, bro, you're fast. You run a 4.5 in high school, bro, you're fast. If you run a 4.3 in high school, you are elite. At any level you run a 4.3, elite. You're telling me with the proper weight training and a proper test training for a 40, you might be a 4.2 guy. Ain't too many of those guys walking around. So when you're thinking about running a 40 and you say, well, I'm just a 4.5 guy, bro, ain't a lot of people your age running 4.5s. That's fast enough.
Right.
Don't be ashamed of it, because I'm going to say my strength and conditioning coach gets paid too. Their job is to get you bigger, stronger, faster. So if you leave here running a 4.5, that means we haven't done our job either. Mm-hmm. So give us a chance for us to do our job as well too. So don't overthink the process. Mm-hmm. Just get down and run.
What advice, before we get out of here tonight, what advice do you got for parents on how to handle the recruiting process?
Gather enough information to make a concrete and an educated decision. Remove the parents' bias goggles of believing that if a program does not take or offer your child, that means there's something wrong with the program.
You know, I talk to parents all the time, and you find yourself in some cases, giving therapy or giving that. What I would say is that the process is not unfair. It's not an unfair process. You might not like the evaluation. You might not like how your kid got rated, got slotted, got evaluated. But when people see your child, in this day and age, it's impossible to get overlooked. You got huddle, you got camps, people can see you. And when they see you, they have to like you. They have to want you. Now, people will say, football is about measurables, and it is. There's some size and speed and length requirements to play at certain levels of football.
I want to look good coming off the bus.
That is what it is, right? And in order for you to overcome that, you have to be really, really special and really, really dominant. But there's a lot of levels of football that you can go play at other than playing Power 4. And to me, you got to be open to playing at those levels if you really want to play. But when you go into these situations, if you're 5'5", 150 pounds, it's going to be tough.
Oh, man. You're a good high school. Hey, listen, enjoy your high school career and move on.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, move on.
You enjoy it. So I just think that it's value in understanding where you fit in the process or kind of in the pecking order of it.
Reed, one of the best advice that you just gave, and you don't even know you just gave $1 billion worth of game. Self-awareness.
Absolutely.
You have to be self-aware. Afford who you can afford to be. If you think that you're that guy and you're the elite player of your class and you feel like you don't have to run, you might not have to. But if you aren't one of those guys and you want to talk that talk and believe that you don't have to do things, yeah, man, you might get moved on.
And you
Real
got
quick.
and like I said earlier in the show, if you're gonna play football, if you want to be a football player, you got to go play football, and you got to compete. You got to go to mega camp. You got to go to the on-campus camp. You got to go out there and you got to give yourself an opportunity. And you got to train and you got to prepare. Run track, play multiple sports, do whatever you got to do to get yourself ready, right? And go from there. And the last thing I'm gonna say, if you're a high school coach, right, and you throwing the ball around, you throw the ball a lot, and you having trouble, and you having trouble. Listen to me, high school coaches. You throwing that ball around, you having trouble advancing in the playoffs in November, right? Come see me and learn the wing tee. I'll get you practicing on Thanksgiving, right?
Reed, just stop saying the wing team. Just find a way to run the ball at an effective rate, slow the game down, give your young quarterback and your playmakers on the outside an opportunity to see the field easier by commanding more players in the box to stop your run game. That'll speed up your quarterback's development of understanding coverage. Yeah, to help your receivers out by understanding that if you are a pretty good running team, you're only going to see one safety in the middle of the field and your box is going to be loaded. So that'll help you game planning wise, that'll help you development wise. It'll simplify everything for everybody. But don't give that daggone wing tee clinic talk again, man. Because
No,
I'm telling you,
listen, my
that
guy
wing
right
tee
here,
stuff
Joe
had me never
Lamite,
playing football
got
again,
the
bro.
clinic. He's running the Grambling wing tee. Thank you, Joe Lamite. Listen to this. I'm gonna translate what Smoke said. Run the buck sweep, the trap, the counter crisscross, right? Throw some jet sweep in there. All right. Some down and some belly. All
That's
right.
good football.
And your kids will enjoy winning football.
Good football.
Good football.
Fundamental football.
So we got, hey, listen, we out. It's Monday night. We'll see you guys back. We've been out a little bit. I do want to say one more thing to you, Smoke.
Talk to me, bro.
Don't text me no more hating on Angel Reese, man.
Hey, Reed, did you have to go there? We had a clean show.
I had to go there.
Don't go there, man. We're talking about basketball playing, women's basketball. Come on.
Just anytime you say something about Angel Reese, just leave.
But Reed, here's the crazy thing. Over the last year, I have not said a word to you about that lady. I have not.
I got receipts to say otherwise.
Reed, you listen, go through whatever you need to go through. I haven't said a word about her playing basketball. I haven't said, Reed, it's not worth my time. I got two eyes just like you do.
National champion.
That you got two eyes just like I do. We saw her win national championship. And Reed, you gotta remember, she's from the crib. I'm a Maryland guy. You see it behind me. All the way, you see that? Maryland, the shorts. Lenny, I'm a Maryland guy. I got love for my Maryland people, but these two, man, they tell me the truth.
I got a comment on here from Noah Garrett. He say, throw the wing tee in the trash. Noah, I'd run if I played against you and I was running the wing tee, we'd run for 585 yards.
Follow the guards. They'll take you everywhere, except on the waggle.
You can follow them. If it's dark, you just gotta be able to run through
them. Listen, Reed, listen. When the rubber hits the road, something got to happen.
Yeah, you go. Hey,
if you got some dogs up front, Reed, it don't matter what you run.
Hey,
you can tell me what you're gonna run, and I still can't stop it.
We got 1,000 people listening tonight. Hey guys, we enjoyed you. Keep working, young guys, on the recruiting. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Go out there and compete at camp every week. Peace out.